I've asked a lot of guys about what should I do videos on, and the census was, Dave, we need a recap, right? We need to start from the beginning and go again. And then I spoke to the boss lady, and she said to me, why don't you tell the people about the Defender program? So I thought, let's do this. We'll do a 6-part series of the Defender program, showing you what it is about. And if you want to sign up, don't forget, it's in June is our next module starting. Squad 2, they're starting in June, but Squad 1 is really started from January already. So what do we do inside the Defender program?
91% of you are returning viewers. 76% of you are non-followers. Remember, if you like our content, which you obviously do, please follow, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. Please and thank you.
All right, so this is just a basic drill that I'm going to just show you, but something similar happens on the Defender program, right? So I've got a piece of paper with some red little stickers on it. Okay, and let's talk about the first thing that we need to talk about is our grip. Now, obviously I've spoken about fundamentals before, but I'll recap them again now. Grip is one of our fundamentals. We have 7 of them, which is grip, stance, sight alignment, sight picture, breathing, follow through, trigger control. I believe that we actually only need 3 really to shoot accurately. So grip, number 1. Next one would be trigger control and sights. Now I put sight alignment and sight picture together, basically just making sure that they're level, equal light, equal height, right? And sight picture is the way I see it. So I will look through the gap of my V, my rear sight, focusing on my front sight, and then have my target as a blur, as an outline, right? But I'll put my focus on my front sight because our eyes cannot focus on all 3 things at once. So let's talk grip, the first fundamental that I need to talk about, which is this. Now, my gun is empty. Let me just, yeah, it's empty. Okay, so grip. Now, for the longest time, we've been taught to put a scale on our hands, right? They said 30% with the gun hand and 70% with our support hand. All right. Then I sat and I started working, and I started playing with the gun. I started holding the gun and I started fiddling with it. And what I came up with was, actually, if I shot my gun one-handed, I still need to have some kind of support on my gun. And how do I get that support? Well, simply I raise my support thumb up on the side of the tang. So I push with my thumb outwards. And then by tightening up my pinky and my ring finger, then I get that support. Now the middle finger is kind of free and loose. It's not really putting pressure, because you need to understand how the hand works, the biomechanics of a hand. The hand is actually separated into 2 parts, the left and the right, okay? And so this part is what we use for grip strength. This part is what we use for fine motor skills or fine movements. Okay, so if I have the pressure from the left side of my hand, right, the 2 small fingers, if I have the pressure on those, and then I've got the fine motor skills to run my trigger without breaking the rest of my grip. So I can run this because this and the thumb work separately from these 2. Make sense? I hope that makes sense. Anyways, so that's what I developed. And in the Defender program, this is what I taught the guys. And a lot of guys went, what? Because they've been listening to me for years saying, squeeze with the left, loose with the right, or gun hand loose, support hand tight, right? That was what we were teaching everybody. But you know, things move on in time, and this is what the whole thing about constantly training is about. You got to keep adapting and keep evolving and keep changing. That's why going to training courses is important. Okay, there's my rant and rave for this session. Anyway, so I want to tighten up my 2 lower fingers, so my pinky and my ring finger, and I want to have my thumb wedged up along the side. That gives me space now to come and put my support hand in. And my support hand just clamps on, doesn't have to be super tight, but it has to be semi-tight, right? Just helping my pinky not to move, or well, just keeping that friction. So keeping it high up underneath the trigger guard and keeping that finger running alongside the frame, pointing naturally for me. That's what this is for. That thumb is to naturally point for me. If you tried it at home, you go onto the dustbin in the corner and then the TV, or you go to the curtain and then the lamp, whatever the case is, just try it. Point your thumb forward and just move it left and right, and you'll see you will naturally point to things without having to look at them really. Like you can look and point. Make sense? So that is what this thumb is for. This is to help you naturally point in the direction of the threat. Right? I got it on target immediately. I can see it. Okay, makes sense. So let's do grip. Let's focus just on grip. Let's fire a few rounds and then we'll talk about the next fundamental. Standing at about 5 meters from the target, we're just going to simply focus just on making sure that we've got that grip in place. Okay, so I'm going to just do 3 rounds, making sure that I'm focusing just on that grip. Right, so my gun hand is high up underneath the tang, my pinky and my ring finger are tight. Right, I'm putting pressure, constant pressure, not massive pressure, just constant pressure, right? Constant pressure that is comfortable. My support hand comes into place and I'm simply going to fire. Okay, you saw the first shot was a little bit low. That's a flinch. Happens every now and again. Okay, 3 rounds. Now, if you heard the shots going off there, you would have heard the trigger reset. Click, 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 click. Now, that is just me creating muscle memory. I'm just learning how to do that. So when I shoot under pressure or under speed, I won't have to think about that part. I just want to feel it for now because this is the basics, right? So what am I feeling? I'm simply feeling, let me just put this away. I'm simply feeling the trigger reset. So if I rack my gun, I take it to where it gets hard, that break point, and then I slowly squeeze till I feel a bang, bang. Then the gun will cycle and I'll release till I feel a click. That's called the reset. And then I'll bring it back, bang. And that's what I'm doing. Make sense? But I'm making sure that this and this are in where I want them. Okay, that's what I want. Okay, let's try it now. We'll do 3 rounds focusing on just the trigger control. So we want to hear the click, 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 click. Okay, let's do 3 rounds on the next dot, making sure my grip is perfect, my sights are perfect, and I'm going to send it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, not bad. I know I got the one dip down. I have a slight flinch. I will fix it with time. Right, okay, the next thing that we want to do is I want to focus on my sights. Now, whether if I have a red dot, it's a little bit different to when I have iron sights. So if I have iron sights, I know my friend Sydney is rear sight focused. He watches that rear sight, and when that comes up, he just makes sure the front is on and he sends it, boom. So he focuses on the rear. I'm the opposite. I prefer to focus on the front sight. And so when I bring the gun up from my up nipple, so as I do my draw up nipple, I watch the front sight in my peripheral, and as it comes through, I'm watching, and as it comes up, I level it out and then I send it, boom. Okay, making sense. So that's the sights that I use. But if I'm using a red dot, the sighting system is different. I'm not focused on the front sights, I'm target focused. So that is the difference between red dot and iron sights. You got to know how the sighting system works. Okay, so for this exercise now, I'm going to use the next dot and I'm going to focus just on iron sights. I won't be using the red dot, I'll use the iron sights. Okay, and let's do 3 rounds, making sure our grip is nice, our trigger control is nice, and we're going to run it. Okay, let's try. So when I want to hit the dot, I need to know where my point of aim and point of impact is. So remember, we've got height over ball. So the sights are higher than the barrel. So I want to make sure that when I'm aiming at the dot, my front sight is maybe slightly, just a little bit above it, because then I should hit the dot. If I was putting it exactly on the dot, I should be low. So I'll put the front sight exactly on the dot, and you'll see the shots will be low in that grouping. So let's try. We're going to just simply bring the gun up, making sure our grip is perfect. Front sight is covering the dot. I cannot see the dot. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now you can see my grouping is just low on the dot, and let's pull you closer so you can come see it. Okay, so this was when I was doing just grip, and I know I've got a flinch. It's okay, we fix these things. Then I did the trigger control, and now I've done just the sights covering the dot. So literally where my front thumbnail is, that's what I was doing. I was covering it completely. I couldn't see it, and you can see my shots are just slightly low. The next dot I'll use the red dot, and we'll do a similar exercise, right? Just so that you can see the difference between the two. Okay, so right now we'll stand and we'll just do, let me turn this back so that we're in place. Okay, so right now we'll do dot number 4, and I'll use the red dot. So I'm going to be target focused. I'm going to focus on that dot, and I'm going to bring the gun up to my eyes, and then I'm going to send 3 rounds like that. Let's try. Up. Okay. As you can see, let's go closer and we can show you again. Whoops. Okay, as you can see, 3 rounds, all kind of touching there. A little bit low on the dot, but all I did was I put the dots on the sticker and I sent it. Okay, right, so those are the things that we do some of it that we do in the first module of the Defender program. So the Defender program is a 6-month course. We do a dry fire and we do a live fire session every month. Dry fire, obviously teaching you skills to take home and practice, so that when you come to the range, you're not thinking about those motions. And then we start doing live fire drills where we drill it into you a little bit more and more as we go. Okay, so guys, if you want to sign up for the Defender program, don't forget, go to our website, check it out. Otherwise, give us a call and you can sign up for the Defender program. 6-month program. You've got to be dedicated for 6 months. That's what I want, right? As I tell the guys always, blood, vomit, fire. So blood, vomit, fire are the only times you cannot come to the Defender program training sessions, okay? And I can see a drastic improvement in these guys already as it is. So stay tuned for module 2. I'll give it to you next week, and we'll see you again on the next one. As always, my name is Dave from Training and Tactics. Don't forget, like, share, follow, subscribe, and I hopefully will see you guys soon. Ciao for now.